Number 10. 1992 Close AM Cent. In 1992, the United States Mint recut the Lincoln Cent reverse master hub in an effort to sharpen the details and create a better strike. And while the design remained nearly identical, the lettering in the legend United States of America was shifted slightly. In the older design, the letters AM are separated. On the new version, these letters are almost touching. Intended for release in 1993, several new reverse dies were nonetheless used in 1992 by both the Denver and Philadelphia mints. There are roughly a dozen examples of the 1992 D Close AM known. The variety was discovered in December 2001 by collector Colin Cush. According to PCGS, most valuable red example was sold in 2017 for $25,850. Number 9. 1960 Small Date Cent. In 1960, the U.S. Mint updated the master dies for the Lincoln Cent mid-year. As was the case with the 1992 Close AM, dies of both the old style and the new style were put into use. Unlike the 1992 Close AM, however, far more of the older small date coins were struck and released, making the variety much more collectible. As soon as collectors became aware of the situation, interest in the variety exploded and astute dealers were more than eager to sell the coins. Incidentally, the 1960 small date Lincoln Cent is often called the coin that launched coin world. One of most valuable specimens was sold for $4,600 in 2008. Number 8. 1922 No D Cent. In 1922, Philadelphia did not produce Lincoln Cents, only Denver did. Why, then, do 1922 cents without mint marks exist? The answer is complicated. As originally shipped, all dies used to strike 1922 cents at the Denver Mint did have a mint mark punch applied to the dies, including the 1922 plain D. Technically, this is not a true variety but a die state. As is often the case, dies become damaged during use. If a die is repairable, then a mint worker might efface the die to remove the damage, such as clash marks. In this instance, the D mint mark was accidentally polished off of the die. One of most valuable specimens with strong reverse was sold for $48,000 in 2018. Number 7. 1914 D Lincoln Cent. As one of the smallest mintages second only to the 1909 SVDB and the 1931S, the 1914 D Lincoln Cent is one of the key dates for the entire series. In fact, when Denver struck only 1,193,000 coins, Philadelphia struck over 75 million cents and San Francisco produced over 4 million. Even for Denver, this is a very low mintage. In 1913, the Denver Mint struck nearly 16 million coins and in 1915 it made over 22 million. PCGS COINFAX estimates that only about 10% of the original mintage survives. By 1957, high-grade examples were selling for as much as $210 $2,218 adjusted for inflation. Most of these are from a hoard of 700 pieces that came to market in that decade. Auction record for this variety was set in 2018 at Legend Rare Coin Auctions. This specimen was sold for $158,625. Number 6. 1944 Steel Cent. A companion off-metal error to the 1943 Bronze Cent, the 1944 Steel Cent was produced when the mint switched to copper planchets made from recycled shell casings in 1944. There are two possible ways that 1944 steel cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, either old 1943 steel planchets or steel blanks intended for foreign coinage slipped into the production line. The latter was not possible at Denver or San Francisco as neither facility struck zinc-coated steel coins for foreign governments that year. Consequently, while there are 25 to 30 known Philadelphia coins and 7 known from Denver, there are only 2 known from San Francisco. The most valuable sale so far was realized at Heritage Auctions. This MS-64 gem was sold for $180,000 at Heritage Auctions. Number 5. 1909 SVDB Cent. For the longest time, this coin was considered to be the king of Lincoln cents. The 1909 SVDB is the San Francisco striking of Victor David Brenner's original approved design. 1909 marked the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, and in order to honor him, the Mint debuted a stunning new coin design featuring Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. Brenner adapted his obverse effigy from an earlier metal. The wheat reverse was a simpler, dare we say, more modern, interpretation of the traditional wreath design. The American public, with the help of the media, saw the initials as self-aggrandizing, and the Treasury Department quickly sought their removal. As a result of the public uproar, the mint pulled Brenner's initials within days, and as a result, only 484,000 of the 2,309,000 cents stuck at the San Francisco Mint in that year have the VDB. This makes the 1909 SVDB the rarest circulating issue Lincoln cent. The most valuable red specimen was sold at Stack's Bowers auction. This MS-67 superb gem ended up selling for $168,000. Number 4. 1955 Lincoln cent with double die obverse. Created by an incorrectly manufactured die, the 1955 double die variety is quite dramatic and was instantly sought after upon its discovery. The dramatic doubling was caused when the position of the die rotated slightly between impressions from the hub. This doubling is most notable on the legends "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," as well as the date, 1955. The day these coins were struck, 3-cent presses were operating at the Philadelphia Mint. All dumped their completed coins into one box. Apparently, the inspector failed to notice the defective die until over 40,000 pieces were struck, by which time 24,000 specimens of the variety were intermingled with non-defective coins. 16,000 pieces were isolated and then melted, but the rest were released into standard circulation. Many were famously paid out as change in cigarette vending machines. According to PCGS, most valuable specimen was sold in 2018. This MS-65 Plus red gem fetched a sum of $114,000. Number 3. 1969 S cent with double die obverse. As with the 1955 double die cent, this coin was created by a blundered die. The 1969 S double die is much rarer than the 1955, with fewer than 40 examples certified. This small surviving population is due to the fact that the offending die was discovered quite quickly. But collectors beware. Virtually no sooner than it had been discovered, the 1969 S fell victim to a counterfeiting scheme. In 1969, Roy Gray and Morton Goodman worked together to create a number of fakes, including the 1969 double die Lincoln cent. Reportedly, some authentic examples also got caught up in the Secret Service's hunt for the Gray/Goodman counterfeits and were destroyed. The main way to tell authentic 1969 S double die obverse cents from the fakes is that the real coins will not have doubled mint marks. This was because the mint mark was punched into the die by hand after the doubling occurred. One of the most expensive specimens was sold at Great Collections auction this year. This MS-66 red gem fetched a sum of $601,875 with buyer's fee. Number 2. 1958 cent with double die obverse. The 1958 double die Lincoln cent is a controversial coin. It is also one of the most valuable. The king of the Lincoln cent double dies, only 3 examples are known. The doubling is dramatic, with the legend "Liberty" and the motto "In God We Trust" being the most pronounced. The coins were discovered in 1960, reportedly by Philadelphia collector Charles Ludovico. The rarity of the issue caused many to wonder whether these were intentional mint products or even forgeries. When the mint was given the opportunity to study Ludovico's specimen, they determined that the coin was authentic. In the 1990s, a mint state example of this elusive coin traded for just over $25,000, a bargain, given that the variety has since sold for 6- and 7-figure sums. This specimen fetched a sum of $1,136,250 with buyer's fee on January 22, 2023 at Great Collections auction. Number 1. 1943 bronze cent. At number 1 is the most coveted of all Lincoln cent era coins, the 1943 bronze cent. Struck during World War II, this era coin was created at a time when the United States was producing cents from zinc-coated steel planchets as it diverted its copper stockpile for the war effort. While most current literature points to general war scarcity, some numismatists believe that this switch in metals was intended to instill a sense of ownership and sacrifice to the war effort on the part of ordinary citizens. Regardless of the reason for the switch, the U.S. Mint adopted the new planchet type for 1 year only. Unlike at the Philadelphia and San Francisco mints, where it is thought that some old 1942 planchets accidentally remained in the coin press feeding bins, no such error occurred at the Denver Mint. The only known 1943 D bronze cent is thought to have been struck by a mint worker for his personal collection. With extremely fine detail, it is believed that this coin was struck twice. A conflicting story states that this coin was actually struck by United States Mint chief engraver John Cynic. This particular coin was not discovered until much later, when it was examined by Annex in 1979. Recently, the coin sold in 2021 by Heritage Auctions for $840,000. Number 16. This is 1967 Roosevelt dime with double die obverse. Graded as AU53 by PCGS. The doubling on obverse letterings are the slightest, so you would need strong magnifying glass to spot it. Also, this specimen comes with collar die clash, this doubling on the western rims, otherwise called railroad rim. This elusive specimen ended up selling for $600. Number 15. This is 1941 Jefferson nickel struck on a cent planchet. Graded in mint state 61 brown by NGC. According to Stax Bowers, the obverse impression is flush to the left border, the reverse to the lower border, the peripheral detail in the opposite area is incomplete due to the size differential between the cent planchet and the larger nickel dies. Virtually all design elements are at least partially discernible, nonetheless, the date readily evident and most features bold. Richly original antique copper patina with flint gray outlines to most devices. Scarce, and sure to catch the eye of major mint era enthusiasts. It was sold for $1,020. Number 14. This is 1947 Jefferson nickel in MS67 condition with full steps. According to Jamie Hernandez, the 1947 P. Jefferson nickel is one of the more common issues in the series. Only in MS66 or higher is it scarce. With the full steps designation, it is also common up to about MS65 condition. In MS66 full steps it becomes scarce with a probably no more than 1 or 200 examples known. In MS67 full steps it is really tough to find and less than a dozen or so examples exist, with few or no examples known in better condition. This specimen with full steps ended up selling for $1,140. Number 13. Here is 1936 Washington quarter in PR66 condition. Nicely preserved specimen out of meager mintage of 3,837. According to NGC, unlike the proof quarters of 1937 and later years, the 1936 edition was coined with dies taken from the same hubs used for currency coin dies. These dies were polished to give them a mirror finish, but they were identical in design details to the dies used for ordinary coinage. The brilliance of 1936 proof quarters is not equal to that of later dates, as the mint was still developing its techniques for such pieces. Gems of this issue are in limited supply, and very few examples have been certified higher than PF66. This example was sold for $1,260 on September 19, 2023. Number 12. This is 1943 S. Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. Graded as VF20 by Annex. Well centered on the dime planchet, the Lincoln cent design is fully appreciable with moderate, even wear that is commensurate with the assigned grade. Wispy hairlines and a somewhat glossy texture are noted for accuracy. A scarce wrong planchet error that is particularly desirable due to its association by date and type with the famous 1943 copper cents. It was sold for $1,440. Number 11. Here is 1954 D Lincoln cent with repunched mint mark. Graded in mint state 66 plus read by PCGS and affirmed by CAC. Most 1954 D cents were well made in terms of strike and die state, but spotting and staining is common for this and most issues of the 1950s. Several repunched mint mark varieties are known for this issue. The triple punch D is also known in a later die state, LDS, in which one of the extra mint marks has been eradicated from polishing of the die to extend its life. This one was sold for $1,680. Number 10. Moving on with this 1951 D Jefferson nickel in MS66 condition with full steps. Billowy mint luster blends with delicate champagne pink iridescence on both sides of this beautiful gem. A semi-key date issue among 1950s Jefferson nickels, the 1951D was produced to the extent of 20,460,000 pieces with examples rare above the basal MS66 FS grade level. It was sold for $1,680. Number 9. This is 2000p Sacagawea Cheerios dollar in MS66 condition. According to Stax Bowers, a premium gem example of one of the most fascinating and rare modern varieties in existence, this frosty piece has surfaces free of spots, toning, or handling. Early in 2000, General Mills, makers of Cheerios breakfast cereal, coupled with the U.S. Mint to place new Sacagawea dollars in boxes of their cereal and heighten the nation's awareness of the coin. Some 10 million boxes of Cheerios were part of the promotion, each containing a newly minted Lincoln cent. Another 5,500 boxes also contained a 2000 dated Sacagawea dollar. This M66 gem with enhanced tail feathers ended up selling for $2,160. Number 8. This is 1968's proof Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. Graded as PR64 Cameo by NGC. A rare wrong planchet error involving modern US Mint proof coinage. The cent design is well centered on the dime planchet, all devices sharply rendered with a frosty texture that contrasts markedly with deeply reflective fields. Bright and brilliant with outstanding visual appeal. Although the San Francisco Mint was engaged in striking both proof and circulation strike cents in 1968, the facility struck only proof dimes that year. It was sold for $2,520. Number 7. Here is 1968's Jefferson nickel in MS66 condition with full steps. Outstanding technical quality and eye appeal of this underrated strike rarity in the Jefferson nickel series. Brilliant surfaces are fully lustrous with a delightful softly frosted texture. Impressively sharp in overall detail, this coin would do justice to the finest collection of the type. It was sold for $3,120. Number 6. This is 1942 Lincoln cent in PR66 condition. Very nicely impressed and kept proof penny with ultra cameo contrast. According to NGC, 1942 was the final year in which proof coins could be ordered as singles, and sales of the cent outpaced complete proof sets by more than 10,000 pieces. This is the more readily available of the 1936-42 issues in top grades, and it is also the one most likely to be seen with varying degrees of cameo contrast. This one was sold for $4,387.50 with buyer's fee. Number 5. This is 1969 Lincoln cent double struck on a Canadian 10 cents planchet. Graded in mint state 62 by NGC. A dramatic and rare double mint error, this Lincoln cent is not only struck on a planchet intended for a Canadian 10 cent coin, but it is also boldly double struck with several degrees rotation between impressions. Remnants of the first strike are boldest along the back of Lincoln's portrait, at the date, and along the upper reverse border. Brilliant semi-reflective surfaces with the basic Lincoln cent design fully appreciable despite the error. It was sold for $4,320. Number 4. This is 1938 Washington quarter in PR68 condition. Available in lower grades, the 1938 proof Washington quarter is conditionally rare in PR68, and no numerically finer pieces are reported by PCGS. According to Heritage, this registry set contender displays beautiful mirrors and satiny relief elements, with pristine overall surfaces. Lovely iridescent toning graces each side. It was sold for $5,760. Number 3. Moving on with this 1914 Lincoln cent in MS65 red condition. A remarkably well-produced, carefully preserved example of this underrated issue among early-date Lincoln cent issues. Richly original surfaces are bathed in a blend of warm golden brown and autumn orange, direct lighting calling forth the most vivid color. Fully struck throughout, the dies have also imparted a delightful satin texture that remains as smooth and inviting as the day of production. It was sold for $4,560. Number 2. Here is vividly toned 1959 Washington quarter. Graded in mint state 67 by PCGS. Most condition census Washington quarters from the 50s are dramatically toned, and the present superb gem is no exception. Vivid blushes of cherry red, aquamarine, and orange patina alternate across lustrous and unmarked surfaces. It was sold for $17,250. Number 1. This is 1926 Lincoln cent in MS64 plus red condition. This San Francisco cent offers exceptional quality and eye appeal for an issue that is rarely seen with full red color. Both sides of this vivid beauty exhibit dominant pinkish rose color, the peripheries adorned with warmer reddish orange. It is sharply struck and has a satiny and smooth appearance that is suggestive of an even higher grade. The 1926 has a low mintage by the standards of this series, with just 4,550,000 pieces produced. It has long been regarded a semi to full key date issue in all grades, and the vast majority of collectors have settled for a worn example due to either availability or cost. This rare specimen was sold for $43,200. Number 17. Here is 1943's Lincoln Cent in MS68 condition. According to NGC, of the 3 steel cent issues, the San Francisco Mint edition is slightly scarcer than the others, but it is certainly not rare. Collectors should use care in selecting just the right coin, as steel cents had striking issues that were seemingly unique to this composition. Among the problem areas is the final numeral of the date, which is often weak or even filled in altogether. This wartime steel penny ended up selling for $1,440. Number 16. This is 1969 D Lincoln Cent in Mint State 65 red. Although uncirculated, it's not the high-end grade, or condition rarity for the issue. So what makes this cent so valuable then? It's highly elusive coin because of missing initials of the engraver on the reverse, to the right of memorial. Otherwise called no FG cent. This error cent was sold for $505.25. Number 15. Here is 2005 Lincoln Cent with satin finish. Graded as MS70 red by PCGS. Representative of absolute numismatic perfection, with no blemishes or contact marks whatsoever. The hairline crossing over the bow tie is on the window of the slab, not the coins itself. This ultimate gem ended up selling for $1,920. Number 14. This is 1966 Kennedy half dollar from Special Mint Set. Otherwise called SMS half dollar. This collectible 50-cent piece comes with missing engraver's initials as well. There is no sign of FG on the reverse. Graded as SP67 by PCGS, this exquisite half ended up selling for $2,820. Number 13. This is 1996 Lincoln Cent struck on a 1996 P. Roosevelt dime planchet. Graded in Mint State 67 by NGC. Obverse die struck reverse of the dime and reverse die vice versa. This double denomination coin ended up selling for $4,080. Number 12. Here is 2000 P. Sacagawea dollar struck multiple times. Third and fourth strikes 50% off center. Graded as MS64 by PCGS. According to Heritage, the first strike was normal, but the piece failed to eject, and instead rotated a few degrees clockwise before its second strike. The coin was then only partially ejected, and was struck a third time, widely off-center toward 8 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock relative to the first 2 strikes. The fourth and final strike was in a similar position but shifted slightly southward. 4 dates and mint marks are visible, although the date from the third strike is faint. Lustrous and cup-shaped with attractive orange, rose, and ice blue toning. It was sold for $4,887.50. Number 11. This is 1999 P. Jefferson nickel in MS68 condition with full steps. Registry set collectors actively pursue superb gem examples of this issue, although the present piece is in a class by itself. This 1999 P. nickel is the single finest certified at PCGS. The strike is needle sharp, and the radiant surfaces yield a hint of champagne toning. It was sold for $4,465. Number 10. Here is 1998's Lincoln Cent proof with close AM graded as PR70 deep cameo by PCGS. The close AM, a characteristic of business strike dies, was used on a small minority of proof dies in 1998, creating this sought-after variety. This is a perfect orange-red, thoroughly contrasted example showing absolutely no trace of carbon or other impairment. It was sold for $4,406.25. Number 9. Moving on with this 1995 D Lincoln Cent with double die obverse. Graded as MS67 by PCGS. The motto, "In God We Trust," is clearly doubled on this amazing superb gem. This piece has rich orange mint luster with noticeably stippled surfaces from die erosion, as struck. Scattered spots are consistent with the grade. Here is an incredibly important opportunity for those collectors seeking the finest available Lincoln Cents. It was sold for $4,200. Number 8. This is 2010 D Shield Cent in MS67 red condition. Due to the extraordinary planchet quality, it likely originated in a mint set. Lustrous and fully struck with seamless gold color aside from a minute reverse rim spot at 430. It was sold for $4,993.75. Number 7. This is 1999 P Connecticut quarter struck on an experimental planchet. Graded in Mint State 62 by PCGS. In 1999, the U.S. Mint tested manganese alloy planchets for the new golden Sacagawea dollar before dies for that design were available. Instead, 1999 P State quarter dies, which had a similar diameter, were used to strike a limited number of experimental planchet pieces. Specimens are known for all 5 1999 state designs: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, and each is very rare. This is a caramel gold representative with hints of silver blue toning. A lengthy, narrow line crosses Washington's bust truncation and is possibly as made on the planchet prior to the strike. It was sold for $4,320. Number 6. Here is 2007 D Lincoln cent struck on a steel washer. Graded in Mint State 64 by PCGS. Weight of this extraordinary era coin is 2.5 grams. His strike is perfectly centered, with full, squared rims. The central washer hole is reminiscent of the annular patterns of the 19th century. Dusky steel gray patina covers each side, while the devices are sharp. It was sold for $6,600. Number 5. This is 2002 D Sacagawea dollar struck on a quarter planchet. Graded as MS66 by NGC. A remarkable piece with brilliant light gray surfaces and exceptional luster. This error would be difficult to spot, due to the similar planchet size, although the color difference is unmistakable. It fetched a sum of $8,050 at auction. Number 4. Here is 2006 P North Dakota State quarter struck on a steel washer. Graded as MS62 by PCGS. According to Heritage, there are not many magnetic US quarters, but here is one. By 2006, the Mint Riddler system was well advanced, and it was highly unlikely for the present wrong planchet error to escape the smelter. This is an oval-shaped example with a slightly off-center hole, as made. The rim is present for portions of the left borders, while part of the right side design is off the flan due to its undersized host. This highly elusive error coin ended up selling for $8,625. Number 3. This is 2015 1-ounce gold eagle with obverse indented by plastic fragment. Both coin and fragment included in the lot. The dark plastic fragment weighs 1 gram, and is housed in the same 2-piece holder as the indented 1-ounce gold eagle. The kidney-shaped fragment is wafer thin, and was struck into the gold coin above the Capitol building with a right jog over Liberty's torch, head, and chest. It was sold for $9,600. Number 2. This is 2000 P Jefferson nickel struck on a 1978 Lincoln cent. Graded as MS64 red and brown by Annex. An error that presumably required some help, either from a mint worker or a mischievous mint visitor, since the cent host was struck 22 years before its nickel overstrike. The 1978 cent date is faint but legible near the back of Jefferson's head. A lustrous near gem with dusky gold and lilac red toning. It was sold for $12,075. Number 1. And here is 1993 D Lincoln cent struck with dime reverse die. Graded in Mint State 65 red by PCGS. A rare double denomination mule. US coins struck with dies of different denominations are extremely rare. Until recent years, none were known. Aside from malfeasance of a mint worker, the mule denomination error is only possible when the denominations involved are similar in diameter. A cent is 19 millimeters, and a dime is 17.9 millimeters, a difference of 1.1 millimeters or approximately 5%. Given the billions of cents struck annually at the federal mints, it was inevitable that an absent-minded worker would pair cent and dime dies. Presumably, the mistake was discovered and the struck pieces were destroyed before dispersal, with the single exception of the present survivor. This lustrous gem shows the characteristics expected of a cent and dime mule. The dime side has a broad, tall rim, since metal was forced into the collar of the dime die by the wider diameter cent die opposite. As a result, the cent side has a soft strike near the rim, since metal in the vicinity flowed into the dime collar. The strike on the devices is normal. It was sold for $51,750. Number 16. This is 1924 S Lincoln cent in MS65 brown condition. An amazing off-center Lincoln cent with mint orange surfaces that are tempered with golden tan toning. Off-center to 7 o'clock with the obverse rim through the bottom of Lincoln's portrait, and with all of the date and legend details intact except Libe, which is off the planchet. The reverse details, off-center to 11 o'clock, feature everything from 1 cent downward. It was sold for $2,056.25. Number 15. This is 1977 D. Jefferson nickel with obverse die cap and reverse mirror brockage. According to Stax Bowers, this fascinating piece was struck once properly, yet failed to eject from the press. Instead it capped the obverse die, and picked up a crisp brockage from the obverse of another struck coin on its reverse. Since the brockage is complete and shows no evidence of distension, we expect that this coin freed itself from the press right after acquiring the brockage. The cap, while fairly deep at the upper obverse, does not extend all the way around that side, further evidence for a brief period adhered to the obverse die. A brilliant and beautiful gem, and a rare and desirable major mint error. This amazing error nickel ended up selling for $2,640. Number 14. Here is 1999 P. Washington quarter struck on an experimental planchet. Graded in mint state 67 by NGC. The companion piece to the Pennsylvania State quarter offered above, this piece is also struck on an olive gold manganese alloy planchet at a time when the mint was searching for a suitable alloy for the Sacagawea dollar that was eventually introduced in 2000. Sharply struck and satiny with a few swirls of light haziness in the center of the reverse that represent shallow flaws in the planchet. It was sold for $2,640. Number 13. This is 1969 D. Lincoln cent with first strike brockage. Graded in mint state 64 red and brown by PCGS. A spectacular mint error, the reverse of this coin, mounted up in the PCGS holder, displays a sharp, clear mirror image of the Lincoln portrait design from the obverse of a reverse die cap. The obverse is struck properly, that side of the coin displaying light lilac rose patina to an otherwise medium orange surface. The brockage side is richly toned in steel olive, although lighter pale pink color is evident in the recesses. Brockages are among the more appealing mint errors, and first strikes with full details such as this are quite rare. It was sold for $2,640. Number 12. Moving on with this 1971 D. Eisenhower dollar with reverse indented by a dime planchet. Graded in mint state 64 by PCGS. Excellent surfaces and luster on the host coin, with the indented area blank save for a hint of the overstruck eagle's wing and body, nearly flattened out by the force of the second strike when the dime planchet slipped on the just struck $. Scarce as an error and in a nice collector grade for quality. It was sold for $2,232.50. Number 11. Here is 1942 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. Uncertified coin but most likely in AU condition according to Stax Bowers. Lustrous steel gray with the initial appearance of a 1943 steel cent, but there the similarity ends. The diameter is smaller than that of a cent with the obverse rim tied to the bottom of Lincoln's portrait and the L of Liberty. The reverse rim intersects the tops of E pluribus unum. Scarce and desirable coin that ended up selling for $2,415. Number 10. This is 1976 D. Washington quarter with obverse die cap. Graded in mint state 67 by NGC. This beautiful superb gem obverse die cap was created when the planchet was fed into the press prior to another struck coin being ejected. Secondly, the newly fed planchet was struck, and adhered to the die for several subsequent strikes, sharpening the obverse impression and softening the brockage impression on the reverse. Well centered with the rim of the die cap even and approximately 3 mm to 4 mm in height. It was sold for $2,880. Number 9. Here is 1968 D. Kennedy $half indented by a $half struck on a quarter planchet. Graded as AU58 by PCGS. This $half was struck normally the first time, then a new planchet was inserted into the press, but it was a quarter-sized planchet that was struck by the $half press first, thus the indent shows the flattened eagle of the $half along with Kennedy's head incues as well as God incues and backwards in the indent from this process. A few surface scratches on the obverse cheek of Kennedy, perhaps from the ejection process. It was sold for $2,350. Number 8. This is 1958 Lincoln cent struck on a struck 1958 Cuban 1 centavo. Surfaces are blemish-free and are awash in cartwheel mint frost on both sides. The copper-nickel composition has taken on light russet and slightly cloudy golden toning, much like the similar piece to follow. Through 1960, the United States Mint at Philadelphia was striking a variety of coins for the Republic of Cuba, one of them the diminutive copper-nickel 1 centavos featuring the left-facing bust of José Martí. At least one of these coins evidently remained in a hopper that supplied blanks to a press coining 1958 Lincoln cents, resulting in this incredible dual country error. It was sold for $2,990. Number 7. Here is 2002's Proof Roosevelt dime with reverse die cap. Graded as PR67 Ultra Cameo by NGC. A fascinating error, and one of the rarest die caps showcased at Stack's Bowers. The reverse impression is razor sharp within the base of a shallow cap, the planchet freeing itself, or being removed, from the reverse die after only a few additional impressions, likely one or two. The other side of this cap also exhibits a razor sharp strike, from the obverse die. Both sides are brilliant with deeply reflective fields supporting frosty design elements. It was sold for $3,360. Number 6. Moving on with this 2002 D Sacagawea dollar struck on a quarter planchet. Graded in Mint State 66 by NGC. An interesting wrong planchet error created when a standard planchet for quarter got fed between Sacagawea dollar dies, this one produced at the Denver Mint. Visually striking for both the quality and the obviously incorrect composition. Well centered on the slightly smaller quarter blank, with good detail and narrow rims complete around the circumference on each side. Fully brilliant with exceptional cartwheels of luster and only the most trivial handling. It was sold for $5,280. Number 5. 1976 D Bicentennial quarter struck on a dime planchet. Graded in Mint State 64 by NGC. This is an extremely rare error coin with fewer than 4 pieces known to exist. Boldly lustrous surfaces, fully brilliant and with no marks worthy of mention. Nicely centered, but just slightly high, giving room for the date and mint mark to be visible, if not complete. Sharp central detail. A visually dramatic error due to the large difference in sizes between the quarter dies and dime planchet. These dramatic differences make these stand out during production and they rarely get released, so such off-metal coins are very rare by their nature. It was sold for $6,462.50. Number 4. This is 1944 P. Jefferson nickel struck on a cent planchet. Brassy reddish copper patina suggests that the cent planchet is one of those made from copper salvaged from cartridge cases used in World War II. Nicely centered in strike with otherwise bold definition, the peripheral devices are partially or wholly off the flan due to the error. It was sold for $7,475. 1995 Lincoln cent with double die obverse. Graded in Mint State 69 by PCGS. According to Heritage Auctions, strong die doubling appears on Liberty and in God. It is less apparent, though still noticeable, on the Dayton We Trust. This popular guidebook and cherry picker's guide variety is unknown above the MS69 red grade level, not surprising considering the grade is about as close to technically perfect as one could expect of a circulation strike. Fully struck copper orange surfaces are essentially pristine. Moderate flow lines appear in the fields. It was sold for $2,160. 1985 Lincoln cent. Graded in Mint State 68 plus red by PCGS. According to Grading Service, the 1985 P Lincoln cent is very easy to find in circulation. Only in MS66 condition or higher is it scarce. In MS67 condition it's a little more difficult to find, but with enough roll searching an example can easily be found. In MS68 condition they are very difficult to find and it is probably easier to buy an example than to try and find one. Plus designated specimens are almost unheard of and they command strong premiums at auctions. This one was bargained for $1,075. 1955 Lincoln cent with double die obverse. Graded as MS63 plus red by PCGS. According to Jamie Hernandez, the 1955 double die Lincoln cent is unquestionably the most famous double die coin in the entire Lincoln cent series and possibly, even the most famous double die coin in numismatics. Doubling is boldly evident on all obverse letterings and the date. The 1955 double dies were created when the mint struck a working hub and a working die together while they were both slightly rotated differently from one another. This MS63 plus specimen ended up selling for $7,156.25 with buyer's fee. 1919 D Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 65 plus red by PCGS. According to NGC, though an armistice was declared late in 1918, the superheated wartime economy rolled on into the following year. The Philadelphia Mint set a record for cent production in 1919 that was not exceeded until 1940 when another war loomed. This issue is common in all grades, and some of the finest early date Lincolns are 1919 P cents. Though the amazingly detailed obverse hub of 1916 had already lost of some of its finer features, well-struck examples of this issue from fresh dies are still quite pleasing when measured against the grossly distorted images from the 1940s-60s. This elusive penny was sold for $3,544.88 with buyer's fee. 1950 Lincoln cent. Graded as MS67 plus red by NGC. This is another issue that is surprisingly scarce in MS67 RD. Typical of Philadelphia mint cents from this period, the 1950 issue is usually well struck but with a duller, brick red color than for cents of the war years and later 1950s. Many survivors also suffer from spotting and light staining. There are no varieties of note, though a few cut die breaks are known. This high-graded specimen ended up selling for $1,762.88 with buyer's fee. 2010 D Shield Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 67 red by PCGS. The new 2010 Shield cent design was first unveiled to the public on November 12, 2009. The U.S. Mint presented the new Shield design in a ceremony which took place at the Ulysses S. Grant Memorial in Washington, D.C. Denver Mint produced over 2 billion of them for 2010. Uncirculated and lustrous specimens are in abundance, but many of them come with bag marks, plating blisters and so on. Population gets thinner at mint state 66 and above. PCGS reported 28 specimens in MS67 grade with just single finer. This superb gem fetched a sum of $1,518.75 with buyer's fee. 1918 Lincoln cent. Graded as MS67 red by PCGS. The 1918 Lincoln cent, struck in the final year of World War I, claims a prodigious mintage of more than 288 million coins. However, the coin circulated heavily and the issue is quite elusive at the MS67 grade level, with a red designation. This delightful superb gem exhibits razor-sharp definition on all design elements and the virtually pristine original red surfaces are lustrous and appealing. It was sold for $6,300. 1929 D Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 66 plus red by PCGS. According to Stax Bowers, exceptionally well produced for an issue that is known for the widespread use of worn dies, this premium quality gem is sharply defined throughout. Satiny and smooth, the surfaces are of further desirability given the full pinkish rose luster that the coin retains. Although mint state survivors of this high mintage issue are plentiful in an absolute sense, most are confined to lower grades due to poor striking quality, subdued luster or numerous detracting blemishes. This example was sold for $7,800. 1943 S Steel cent. Graded in mint state 68 by PCGS and further confirmed by CAC. The 1943 S Lincoln Steel cent is collectible even as fine as MS68, although pieces in this grade are scarce with CAC endorsement and under high demand from registry collectors. The present coin is among the finest examples of this issue known. It was sold for $3,120. 1914 D Lincoln cent. Graded as MS64 red and brown by PCGS. The 1914 D Lincoln cent is one of the key dates in the series behind the 1909 SVDB. This choice red and brown example is in a good grade for a wide range of collectors to acquire a quality piece. However, it is scarce with its CAC approval. It ended up selling for $4,680. 1982 small date Lincoln cent. Graded as MS69 red by PCGS. An incredible condition rarity from this transitional modern issue. The surfaces are essentially flawless, painted in an even salmon pink hue. Satiny luster cartwheels without interruption across each side, emphasizing the sharply rendered devices. It represents an incredible rarity and is destined for the most advanced collection of Lincoln cents. This superb gem fetched a sum of $15,600.
2001 D Lincoln cent, graded in mint state 69 red by PCGS. According to website of grading service, the 2001 D Lincoln cent is very common. Examples can easily be found in circulation, up to about MS65 condition. Examples in MS66 to MS67 can be found in mint sets, bags or rolls. In MS69 condition, it is very scarce, but if someone decides to buy one graded, with enough patience, one will eventually surface in the market. Nevertheless, PCGS certified just 23 specimens this fine, including this penny. Medium pink luster bathed smooth, satiny surfaces on both sides of this lovely superb gem. It fetched a sum of $920.
1941 Lincoln cent with double die obverse. Graded as MS66 Plus, read by PCGS and proven by CAC. A desirable double die variety with the strongest spread on the 4 in the date and the burr in Liberty. Cherry Pickers lists 3 DDO varieties for the issue, and FS101 is intermediate between FS102 and FS103 in terms of importance. This MS66 specimen ended up selling for $2,931.75 with buyer's fee. 1956 Lincoln cent. Graded as MS67 Plus, read by NGC. With nearly 500,000 pieces coined, this issue is hardly rare, even in fully red gem condition. It is only at the MS67 RD level that the population thins considerably. MS67 Plus gems are relatively rare. Total of $1,194.75 was realized from the sale of this specimen at auction. 1943 Lincoln cent with overdate 3/2 and double die obverse. Graded as MS68 by PCGS. Remnants of a 2 are discernible around the 3 in the date on this variety, and the 19 in the date are double. The current example is the sole finest piece attributed by PCGS. It was sold for $5,760. 1964 Lincoln cent from Special Mint set. Widely known as SMS cent. Enigmatic experimental mint issue. According to Heritage Auctions, there is no way to explain the existence of 1964 SMS coins. These coins have a special finish, often described as falling between proof and mint state circulation strikes. They closely resemble the 1965 Special Mint set coinage in terms of quality. Speculation suggests the 1964 SMS coins were struck as mint trials prior to the introduction of 1965 Special Mint sets. Or, they may have served as special presentation sets. But the mint does not report any such mintage. It is thought no more than 50 1964 sets were produced. This MS65 red cent example displays the appropriate razor-sharp strike and obvious die polishing to create its special appearance. It was sold for $18,000. 1921 S Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 65 re by PCGS. Delightful golden orange surfaces are fully lustrous with a much shaper strike than typically encountered for the issue. A relatively limited mintage of 15,274,000 pieces has made the 1921 S a popular Lincoln cent with collectors since the year of issue. Though Lincoln cent specialists are well aware, the casual bidder would be surprised by the relative dearth of gem red examples of the 1921 S in today's market. This is a better produced, better preserved example, and it ended up selling for $26,400. 2009 D Professional Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 67 by PCGS. According to Jamie Hernandez, the 2009 Professional Lincoln cent design represents Abraham Lincoln's professional life in Illinois, from about 1830 to 1860. The professional reverse design is the third of 4 different themes used in 2009 for the Lincoln cent. Each design represents a memorable time in Lincoln's life. This professional cent in mint state 67 ended up selling for $1,173.73.
2005 Lincoln cent with satin finish from Special Strike, graded in mint state 70 red by PCGS. According to Jamie Hernandez, in 2005, the U.S. Mint introduced a satin finish uncirculated coin set which gave the coins a special satin-like appearance. Coins were struck with sandblasted dies and in burnished coin blanks. The satin finish coins were only struck from 2005 to 2012. Most examples came in really good quality, with most examples grading about MS67, MS68 condition. Nicer examples graded MS69, while very few achieved the MS70 grade. This numismatic pinnacle ended up selling for $1,725.
1930 S Lincoln cent with repunched mint mark S over S. The remnants of an undertype S are visible to the north of the primary mint mark, identifying the popular cherry pickers variety. This spectacular superb gem exhibits sharply detailed design elements throughout, and the virtually flawless original red surfaces radiate vibrant mint luster, with outstanding eye appeal. It was sold for $5,760. 1912 S Lincoln cent. Graded as MS66 red by PCGS. From a smallish mintage of 4.4 million pieces, the 1912 S Lincoln cent is a better date in the popular series. With red surfaces, the 1912 S is a collectible issue in grades up to the MS65 level, but specimens in MS66 are condition rarities. This spectacular premium gem exhibits razor-sharp definition on all design elements, and the impeccably preserved original red surfaces are lustrous and appealing. It was sold for $10,200. 1946 Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 67 plus red by PCGS. According to NGC, with a high mintage for a San Francisco mint coin and the usual hoarding of mint cents by collectors and speculators, this issue is quite plentiful in mint state grades. Even gems are only slightly scarce, though the more astute collector will want to hold out for one which is fully struck from fresh dies. These are surprisingly difficult to locate, as the San Francisco Mint in the late 1940s was very budget-minded and ran the dies way too long. This elusive specimen was sold for $25,312.50 with buyer's fee. 1960 Jefferson nickel with full steps. Graded in mint state 66 by PCGS. According to grading service, Jefferson nickels from the 1960s are very challenging to locate with full steps. The 1960P is no exception, with about 2 dozen or so known with full steps in all grades combined. In uncirculated grades without the full steps they are also very scarce, with less than a few hundred known. This elusive specimen ended up selling for $5,040. 1985 Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 68 plus red by PCGS. This magnificent 1985 Lincoln cent is one of the 12 coins certified in this lofty grade at PCGS, with just single finer. The design elements exhibit razor-sharp definition and the pristine original red surfaces radiate vibrant mint luster on both sides. It was sold for $3,475.12 with buyer's fee.
2004 D Wisconsin State Quarter, highly sought after extra leaf low variety, graded in mint state 67 by PCGS. This popular cherry picker's variety features an apparent extra leaf positioned low on the husk of corn. According to cherry pickers, the artifact resulted when a tool with a rounded edge was deliberately impressed into the working die. The leaf was not part of the original design. This delightful, superb gem is sharply detailed, impeccably preserved, and fully lustrous with outstanding eye appeal. It was sold for $6,000.
1986 P. Jefferson nickel overstruck on a 1986 cent. Graded in mint state 64 red by NGC. According to Heritage Auctions, the 986 of the cent date is obvious within Jefferson's hair. The nickel mint mark is sharp. The top half of the nickel date is lightly brought up. A lustrous brick red near gem that has occasional dashes of orange red on the fields. It was sold for $1,265. 1950 proof Jefferson nickel. Graded as PR 67 plus deep cameo by PCGS. According to Ron Guth, in 1950, production of proof coins resumed at the Philadelphia after time off to allow the mint to produce medals for the military during and after World War II. The mintage of the 1950 proof set was more than double that of the 1942, indicating a pent-up demand for proof coins. Each of the 1950 proof sets contained one proof coin of each denomination, each in an individual cellophane envelope, all of which were stapled together, placed in tissue, and sealed in a small cardboard box. Today, sealed original 1950 proof sets are quite scarce, as most have been opened and searched for deep cameo examples. Brilliant proof 1950 nickels are quite common, but cameo examples become scarce and deep cameo proofs are downright rare. This one ended up selling for $8,941.50 with buyer's fee. 1939 Jefferson nickel with reverse of 1940. Graded in mint state 68 FS by NGC. FS standing for full steps designation. While the 1939 reverse of 1940 nickel is more available than its reverse of 1938 counterpart, the issue is nonetheless a rarity in the lofty MS68 full steps grade. Strike sharpness is outstanding throughout on this coin, and the surfaces are pristine. It was sold for $2,160. Attractively toned 1962 D Washington quarter. Graded in mint state 67 plus by PCGS. Pinkish, olive green, cerulean blue shades grace the obverse surfaces of this quarter dollar. According to David Hall, though the mintage is huge, over 100 million coins, this is one of the scarcer 1941 to 1964 silver Washington quarters in gem condition. There weren't that many saved at the time of issue, and most uncirculated survivors have lots of marks and abrasions. This spectacular gem fetched a sum of $5,140.12.
2001 D Lincoln cent, graded in mint state 69 red by PCGS. According to website of grading service, the 2001 D Lincoln cent is very common. Examples can easily be found in circulation, up to about MS65 condition. Examples in MS66 to MS67 can be found in mint sets, bags, or rolls. In MS69 condition, it is very scarce, but if someone decides to buy one graded, with enough patience, one will eventually surface in the market. Nevertheless, PCGS certified just 23 specimens this fine, including this penny. Medium pink luster bathes smooth, satiny surfaces on both sides of this lovely superb gem. It fetched a sum of $920.
1921 S Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 65 Re by PCGS. Delightful golden orange surfaces are fully lustrous with a much shaper strike than typically encountered for the issue. A relatively limited mintage of 15,274,000 pieces has made the 1921 S a popular Lincoln cent with collectors since the year of issue. Though Lincoln cent specialists are well aware, the casual bidder would be surprised by the relative dearth of gem red examples of the 1921 S in today's market. This is a better produced, better preserved example, and it ended up selling for $26,400. 1946 Jefferson nickel. Graded in mint state 67 full steps by PCGS. Satiny luster complements nearly flawless surfaces and sharp devices, with no obvious dye erosion. According to NGC, as soon as World War II came to an end, budgets were slashed for most federal agencies and bureaus, the U.S. Mint included. As the mint returned to the pre-war composition of copper and nickel for the 5-cent piece, it did so under severe cost restrictions that continued to tighten over the next several years. Given these conditions, it's not surprising that the quality of the nation's coinage eroded even further than it had during the war years. Top-notch gems are rare. This superb gem ended up selling for $2,160.
2005 Lincoln cent with satin finish from Special Strike, graded in mint state 70 red by PCGS. According to Jamie Hernandez, in 2005, the U.S. Mint introduced a satin finish uncirculated coin set which gave the coins a special satin-like appearance. Coins were struck with sandblasted dies and in burnished coin blanks. The satin finish coins were only struck from 2005 to 2012. Most examples came in really good quality, with most examples grading about MS67, MS68 condition. Nicer examples graded MS69, while very few achieved the MS70 grade. This numismatic pinnacle ended up selling for $1,725.
1983 D Roosevelt dime. Graded in mint state 67 FB by PCGS. FB standing for full bands. According to the NGC price guide, as of November 2023, a Roosevelt dime from 1983 in circulated condition is worth between 15 cents and 35 cents. However, on the open market, 1983 D dimes in pristine, uncirculated condition sell for as much as $300. But this MS67 gem with full bands was sold for $1,968.75 with buyer's fee. 1942 S Jefferson nickel struck on a silver dime planchet. This war nickel was struck on a silver dime blank, and since the planchet was undersized relative to nickel dies, Liberty and States of America are mostly absent. 3/4 of the date is present. Satiny with light chestnut toning. The finder was curious about his or her discovery, and entered a few light pin scratches on Monticello and Jefferson's shoulder. It was sold for $1,955. 1985 Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 68 plus red by PCGS. According to Grading Service, the 1985 P Lincoln cent is very easy to find in circulation. Only in MS66 condition or higher is it scarce. In MS67 condition it's a little more difficult to find, but with enough roll searching an example can easily be found. In MS68 condition they are very difficult to find, and it is probably easier to buy an example than to try and find one. Plus designated specimens are almost unheard of and they command strong premiums at auctions. This one was bargained for $1,075. 1934 Washington quarter with medium motto. Wonderfully preserved ultra gem, coveted CAC seal of approval. Smooth, flawless surfaces display frosty luster. The obverse is generally untoned while the reverse is awash in attractive lavender, pale blue, and peach tints. This is the most common of the three primary 1934 obverse designs. CAC approved for quality. It was sold for $9,750. 1929 D Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 66 plus red by PCGS. According to Stax Bowers, exceptionally well produced for an issue that is known for the widespread use of worn dies, this premium quality gem is sharply defined throughout. Satiny and smooth, the surfaces are of further desirability given the full pinkish rose luster that the coin retains. Although mint state survivors of this high mintage issue are plentiful in an absolute sense, most are confined to lower grades due to poor striking quality, subdued luster or numerous detracting blemishes. This example was sold for $7,800. 1973 S. Jefferson nickel struck on a foreign blank, Liberian 5 cents planchet to be exact. Graded as PR67 Ultra Cameo by NGC. This Liberian copper nickel planchet is a little more than 15% underweight for the type. This did not prevent the present superb gem proof from receiving a bold strike and impressive contrast. An unusual but undeniably desirable wrong planchet proof error. It was sold for $1,207.50. 1978 S. Lincoln cent. Graded as PR70 Deep Cameo by PCGS. This collector's item is representative of numismatic perfection. Surfaces are devoid of mentionable contact marks or blemishes. Stark contrast is evident between liquid-like fields and frosty reliefs. This superb gem fetched a sum of $2,025 with buyer's fee. 1934 D. Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 67 plus red by PCGS. An amazing registry quality gem with frosty, lustrous surfaces and fantastic eye appeal. Fiery red surfaces with fantastic luster. CAC approved for quality. It was sold for $20,350. 1942 D. Jefferson nickel. Highly sought after repunched mint mark variety, D over horizontal D. Graded in mint state 65 by PCGS. This well-struck gem boasts a lovely champagne rose luster. A very nice piece, and among the finest certified for an issue that is rare even in lower mint state grades. Important find for the advanced Jefferson nickel collector. It was sold for $8,050. 1948 Jefferson nickel. Graded in mint state 67 full steps by PCGS. A sharp, satiny example struck from fresh dies with no evidence of erosion. The near brilliant surfaces are pristine, and eye appeal is outstanding. This Philadelphia issue usually seen no finer than MS66 in the full steps category, and superb gems such as the present are rarities. It was sold for $2,640. 2009 D. Professional Lincoln cent. Graded in mint state 67 by PCGS. According to Jamie Hernandez, the 2009 Professional Lincoln cent design represents Abraham Lincoln's professional life in Illinois, from about 1830 to 1860. The professional reverse design is the third of 4 different themes used in 2009 for the Lincoln cent. Each design represents a memorable time in Lincoln's life. This professional cent in mint state 67 ended up selling for $1,173.73. 1914 Lincoln cent. Graded as PR67 plus brown by NGC. As of November 2023, this is the sole finest 1914 matte proof Lincoln in the BN category graded by either PCGS or NGC. It is no surprise that at this lofty state of preservation, this superb gem is flawless. Satiny lustrous matte finish surfaces are brilliant and highlight the deep chocolate brown. As you rotate this beauty in a light, the fine facets of the sandblast finish sparkle and accent hints of steely blue overtones. Every detail is razor sharp. If you seek an exemplar matte proof cent, this is as high a grade as they come. It ended up selling for $8,400. 1941 proof Jefferson nickel from a small mintage of 18,720 pieces. The 1941 proof Jefferson nickel is a prime condition rarity at the PR68 grade level according to PCGS population. NGC certified only 2 finer with plus designation. This spectacular PR68 specimen offers sharply detailed design elements and virtually flawless surfaces, with attractive highlights of jade, sea green, and lavender gray toning. Eye appeal is terrific. It was sold for $2,880. 1982 D. Jefferson nickel. Graded in mint state 67 full steps by PCGS. According to the NGC price guide, as of December 2023, a Jefferson nickel from 1982 in circulated condition is worth between 10 cents and 20 cents. However, on the open market 1982 D nickels in pristine, uncirculated condition sell for as much as $190. Sometimes it fetch much larger premiums in MS67 and higher conditions. This one was sold for $3,125.25 with buyer's fee. 1953 Carver, Washington commemorative $half. Graded in mint state 67 by NGC. This $half exhibits unsurpassable quality, mark-free, glowing lustrous surfaces with some attractive iridescent reddish gold color over the obverse. Sharply struck with no blemishes of any kind, some mint-made die lines are noted in the reverse field. It ended up selling for $9,987.50. 1978 Washington quarter. Graded in mint state 67 plus by PCGS. This beauty saw outstanding preservation. Needle sharp details and satiny lustrous surfaces are devoid of any distractions and offer gorgeous eye appeal. It was sold for $2,050.